Assignment number 7, the very last section, and you'll see the same section, same directions on your test. It says factor completely. I put a little hint there. It says try GCF first, then see if any other methods will work. Trying that GCF first, guys, some of you are getting stuck on assignment 6 because you're not trying GCF first. You're trying to do a quadratic trinomial for something that has an exponent higher than 2. So take a look at question number 29. I know for some of us, as soon as we see 3 terms, we want to try to start doing our multiply add thing. Just because you have 3 terms doesn't mean you can just start doing the multiply add thing. Trinomial is part of it, but the other part is that we need to have a quadratic. Quadratic means my highest exponent is 2. So if you have an exponent that's higher than 2, you don't have a quadratic trinomial. You can't do our, hey, multiply this to get the last number, add this to get the middle number thing. It doesn't work if your highest exponent is something other than 2. So that's where trying the GCF first comes into play. I look at the number pieces. I've got a 1 in front of x to the 4th, and I have an 8 and a 15. There's nothing common with the numbers. But as I look at the variables, I notice that there's an x in all of them. Now, more importantly, though, not just an x, but x squared. Yeah, x to the second. X to the second. So make sure, guys, again, in case those of you that are sitting there on your phones right now are missing out, I'm looking at question 29 on your review. Just got finished explaining why I can't do a quadratic trinomial technique on this. I can't do quadratic trinomial because the highest exponent is a 4 and not a 2. So now I can divide out that x squared. I subtract exponents. I subtract exponents. Now, we had talked yesterday. I have to make sure that I put parentheses and my GCF out front. So right here, this technique we just did was GCF. Now, taking this to the next level. This isn't anything new. We now look inside those parentheses. Now, as I look inside those parentheses, I now have highest exponent, 2, and I have 1, 2, 3 terms. Now I have, inside the parentheses, a quadratic trinomial. If you need to, guys, at the top of assignment 6 was that little checklist we looked at yesterday. If you need to have that out while you're reviewing, that's an okay thing. That would be an okay thing to study, but you will not have it on your test. It's an okay thing to study, though. So I have a quadratic trinomial. And with this one, because it's just an x squared, we can use our shortcut. So the last part of your test is going to show me whether or not you actually know when to use each factoring technique. Not just that you know how to do it, but that you know when to do it too. So now we can do our shortcut. So that means I want to multiply to get 15. And we're going to add to get 8. So what's going to fit the bill for us? Multiply to get 15, add to get 8. What's going to work? 3 and 5. 3 times 5, 3 plus 5. Now we can use, because it's just a plain x squared, there's no other number in front of it besides 1. We can do our shortcut. We reviewed the shortcut yesterday. Please feel free to use it. If you like the longer method by doing the parentheses or boxes, you can. Some of you are doing that, and that's okay. If you don't want to have to remember the shortcut on top of everything else, that's okay. We can do the longer way too. To get x squared, we're going to have an x and x in each box, or excuse me, each parentheses. And then add 3, add 5. Don't forget, though, the x squared that you took out to start still has to be in front of your parentheses. So always GCF first, and then see if anything else will work for you. Again, the last section of your test, it'll have less questions. Right now, this last section has like 9 questions on it. On your test, I'll probably put 3, maybe 4 tops. Probably 3. I'm finishing editing it still. Now, I do also want to do, I know a lot of you still have other assignments to finish, but I want to also do question 30 with you today. We did something like question 30 yesterday on assignment 6 together, but I just got you started on it. And then after helping a few people yesterday, I realized that a lot of you weren't going back and finishing that one. You thought it was finished. So I want to make sure we talk about one like that today. Always, always. I know for this one, you're like, oh, Miss Golly, highest exponent's 2. I can use my quadratic thing. Always GCF first if you can. We always tried that first yesterday in assignment 6. Always try it first if you can. Even if you see you've got an x squared. Because maybe you can make the number smaller to work with. If I look at 3 and 27, those can both be divided by 3. I can do a GCF of 3. Now, we saw a question like this yesterday. I have a quadratic. My highest exponent's 2. I have a quadratic, but I don't have the trinomial part. What can we add in to make that a trinomial? We can add in our middle term that's missing. We can put the 0x there. Zero x. Now we have a quadratic trinomial. Remember, guys, quadratic means my highest exponent is a 2. If you have something other than a 2 there, we can't use those techniques that we've been working on. Trinomial means 3 terms, so I have to have 3. The middle one's missing, so I'm going to put a 0 there, so we have that middle term. So now we have our quadratic trinomial. It's just an x squared, so you can rock the shortcut if you want. Multiply to get -9. Add to get 0. -3 and +3 will work. X minus 3, x plus 3. Our original 3 GCF we need to bring down to the front of that. So again, guys, as promised, there's nothing new this week. Our last new thing was last week for us on Thursday. Nothing new this week. It's just that piece of reviewing and making sure we know when to use each thing. There will be, like we talked before, there's a specific part on your test for you to show me that you can do each individual factoring method. There's a part on your test you can show me, yep, Miss Golly, I know how to do each of these things. But then the last part that we just started together is going to show me if you actually know when to use them. Not just how to do them, but you actually know when they come into play and how to use those things. So the rest of the time today is yours. Again, when you work through your review, whenever you get to that point, it might not be today, and that's okay. Go through and do the odds first. Then go through and do the evens, so you get a variety of practice and review twice. Okay, go through and do the odds, then do the evens so you get a variety of practice.